Right now, somewhere on Earth, a glass is being raised. Beer, wine, something stronger. We treat it as a simple habit, a Friday night, a celebration, a bad decision we regret in the morning. And most people assume alcohol is a human invention, something we stumbled into by accident when farming gave us a little extra grain. But the truth is far stranger. Your craving for a drink is not a modern vice. It is older than farming, older than cities, older than our own species. In fact, it may be 10 million years old, written into your own body long before the first human walked. So when did ancient humans start drinking? The answer is buried in caves, sealed inside clay jars, and hiding in your liver right now. To understand it, you start before humans existed at all. Picture a forest, millions of years ago. A piece of fruit falls from a branch to the ground. It ripens in the heat, and then it begins to rot. As it rots, tiny yeasts eat its sugar and turn it into alcohol. To a hungry primate, that sour smell was not a warning. It was a dinner bell. It meant ripe, soft, sugar-rich food, packed with calories. The ones who followed the smell ate first. The ones who ate first survived. This is the drunken monkey hypothesis. It was proposed by the biologist Robert Dudley at the University of California, Berkeley. His idea is simple and a little unsettling. Our love of alcohol did not begin with drinking. It began with eating. The molecule that gets you drunk tonight is the same one that led your ancestors to their next meal. Attraction to alcohol may be tens of millions of years old, but a smell is not enough. Wanting the fruit is one thing. Surviving it is another. Rotten, fermenting fruit can be poison. So how did our ancestors learn to stomach it? They did not learn at all. Their bodies changed. In 2015, a scientist named Matthew Carrigan studied an ancient enzyme called ADH4. It breaks down alcohol inside your body. He traced its history backward through the primate family tree, reconstructing how it changed over time, and he found something remarkable. Around 10 million years ago, a single tiny mutation appeared. That change made the enzyme 40 times better at digesting ethanol. The timing is not a coincidence. 10 million years ago, our ancestors were climbing down from the trees and starting to feed on the forest floor. And the forest floor is where the fermenting fruit was waiting. Before the mutation, rotten fruit might have left them sick. After it, that same fruit became free calories almost nothing else could eat. Think about what that means. You did not invent drinking, you inherited it. It was a survival tool long before it was a pleasure. So the taste came first, the biology came second. But actually making alcohol on purpose took millions of years more. And the first people to do it were not who you expect. They were not farmers. Travel to a cave on Mount Carmel in northern Israel. 13,000 years ago, a people called the Natufians lived and buried their dead there. The cave is called Rakafet, and in 2018, a team led by archaeologist Li Liu at Stanford University found something carved into its stone floor, narrow stone mortars. And inside them, the residue of grain malted, mashed, and fermented. It was beer. Not clean golden beer in a glass, a thick, sour, porridge-like brew, but it is the oldest evidence of alcohol ever found anywhere on Earth. And here is the twist. These people had no farms. They were hunter-gatherers. They were not brewing beer to relax after work. The mortars sat right beside the graves of their dead. This beer was sacred. It was made for funerals, for feasts, for ritual, for saying goodbye. Alcohol did not begin as a luxury, it began as a ceremony, which leads to a heretical question. For 100 years we told a simple story of civilization. First, humans learned to farm. Farming gave us extra grain, and extra grain, by accident, became beer. In that story, bread came first, beer was the leftover. But some archaeologists flipped the story upside down. What if we did not farm to make bread? What if we farmed to make beer? At a site called Göbekli Tepe in southern Turkey, there is a temple older than the pyramids, older than writing, older than the wheel. It is around 11,000 years old, built by people who had not yet invented agriculture. Among the carved stones, researchers found enormous limestone vats, some able to hold up to 160 liters. In 2012, Archaeologist Oliver Dietrich and his team detected chemical traces consistent with fermented grain. The idea, once championed by Solomon Katz of the University of Pennsylvania, is strange to sit with. Maybe what made us plant the first fields was not hunger for bread. Maybe it was the desire to gather, to feast, to drink together. We may not have settled down and then discovered beer. We may have settled down because of it. The thirst came first, and farming followed. Then the recipe got serious. In a Neolithic village called Jiahu in northern China, around 9,000 years ago, people were not waiting for fruit to rot anymore. They were mixing something on purpose. The chemist Patrick McGovern at the University of Pennsylvania analyzed the residue inside their pottery jars, and he found a deliberate recipe. Rice, honey, hawthorn fruit, and grape, all fermented together into a single drink. This was no longer an accident of nature. This was a craft, a recipe passed from person to person, the oldest prepared drink we know of, brewed while the memory of the Ice Age was still fresh. So why did it stick? Why does this habit refuse to die? Think about what alcohol actually did for these people. It made dirty water safer to drink. It turned grain that would rot into something that could be stored. It dulled pain in a world with no medicine and no surgery. And most of all, it loosened the tongue and softened the stranger. A drink shared around a fire could turn a rival into an ally. Anthropologists have a name for this. They call alcohol a social technology, a tool like fire or language that helped human groups grow. It bound people tighter than raw trust alone could manage. The same molecule that destroys lives today may have helped build the very first communities. So when did ancient humans start drinking? The honest answer is that they never started, because we were never not drinking. The craving was there in the primate reaching for fallen fruit. It was there in the enzyme rewriting itself 10 million years ago. It was there in the hunter pouring sour beer for the dead, in the great stone vats of the temple, in the Chinese jar of rice and honey and grape. Every time you raise a glass, you are not breaking away from your ancestors. You are repeating them, finishing a gesture that began before there were words to toast with. The drink in your hand is one of the oldest things about you. The question was never when we started. The real question is whether we were ever anything else.